Here we go. Okay. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the November 18th, 2021 regular meeting of the North Bradford Planning and Zoning Commission to order at 6:34 p.m. In attendance are regular members Sienna, Mace, and Galdenzi. So the first order of business, number 2, is we can do the meeting minutes. I think we can.
Mm-hmm.
3 of us, 3 of the 4 are here. So I'll give you all a moment. So what kind of gesture when you read them over? I already read these. So. Good?
I'm good.
Okay,
You good?
summary
Yep.
before you go, okay? Motion we accept the minutes of November 4th.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the minutes are approved. Next order of business under 3A is application 2021-12.
Okay, on that, literally at 4:27 this afternoon, I received a withdrawal, so that matter is withdrawn.
Okay. Okay, so under 3B then, application 2021-19, zoning regulations text amendment, amending section 24.3, height, building and structures, and add section 24.4.11, municipal recreational lighting, applicant Town of North Branford, Parks and Recreation.
Okay, we are supposed to have Vincent Marino here.
There he is.
Speaking
in
of
fact,
the devil,
So, well timed.
Good, yeah, good timing. It's almost like it was planned.
Yes.
Yep, so we're at the public hearing for your application for the town
Okay.
zoning text amendments,
Yes, so,
the lighting.
I'm here on behalf of the town, which is seeking an amendment to sections 24.3 and the creation of a new section 24.4.11. The purpose of this amendment is to allow the installation of municipal lighting for evening recreational purposes. If you recall, we were here, I think a couple months ago, and there were some concerns the way that the town planner had drafted the proposed amendments. That kind of went much beyond what the town wanted.
Right. Yep.
And I heard what your concerns were. I sat and I listened to what your concerns were, and what I tried to do is make these amendments as tight as I could, so that you didn't have to worry about the town being able to put in an Empire State Building.
correct.
And so let's just, if you take a look at section 24.3. 24.3 is your zoning regulation dealing with height. And what I added was, so this says no building or other structure shall exceed the number of stories and or the maximum height, whichever is less, as specified in Schedule B. This limitation, however, shall not apply to the following. And this is all already in your regulations. What I added to the list was municipal recreational light poles, providing that the municipal lighting is directional lighting that has been designed for outdoor recreational play areas to reduce light spillover outside the play area and is dark sky compliant. When we were here last, the concerns that I heard were, well, where are these going to be? And we're asking that they can be in setback areas. And we do not want to offend neighboring property owners. So what we're saying is, if the town comes forward with a plan to install lighting, that lighting, there is no height limitation, so obviously a stadium light will be above, it'll be what it will be. I'm not sure what the exact heights are, but they're standard in the industry. But the light will not spill off the property. It'll be directed toward we'll call it the tennis court or the play area, And you don't have to worry about, I think last time we were talking about, well, what about if someone put a light by their mailbox or something like that? You don't have to worry about that with this. So, but 24.3 is simply a height issue, but I qualified it to say that it has to be dark sky compliant. I then went on to 24.4. 24.4 is the section of your regulations that deals with setbacks. And instead of, excuse the expression, bastardizing any other section that you had there, I thought it might be simpler just to add a new section 24.4.11 to say that municipal recreational lighting, the required setback distances shall not apply to municipal recreational light poles, providing that the municipal lighting is directional lighting that has been designed for outdoor recreational play areas to reduce light spillover outside the play area, is dark sky compliant, and does not spread light onto an adjoining property, including a public right-of-way. So this way, you don't have to worry about cars driving and getting blinded by the light, or neighboring property owners being offended. So what I tried to do is listen to what I heard were your concerns, and limit the request to what is the specific request that the town is asking. While this is a text amendment, I will just use as the example of what the town would like to do eventually, and that is at the Stanley T. Williams facility, where I believe it's, I don't know if they're called tennis courts. I call them tennis courts. They might be pickleball courts or play courts, I don't know. But to put stadium lighting there. And one of the, I believe it's only one of the light poles at that location would be within your setback area. So that's the reason why we're asking for the relief when it comes to the setback. That doesn't mean the town's going to go throughout your town and start putting lights all over within setbacks. It's just, it's for this specific project. And I don't know, I haven't done an inventory, I haven't asked for an inventory, but Park and Rec is likely going to want to, over the course of time, start lighting up the courts for the benefit of residential use at night. And that's something that I want you to be aware of, because if you amend your regs, every request is not going to require the relief, but for the height. So that's really the only thing that's probably going to apply to everything going forward. The setback is specific to Stanley T. But I don't know if you have any questions. I hope that I addressed your concerns. I've tried to, again, make it as narrow as possible. If you feel it can be even stricter or tighter, I'm open to your suggestions. But what I did is I went on to, I researched how these were managed throughout the country, and I borrowed the language from the most restrictive state in the country, California, and that's what this is. So,
I have just two things. One is, I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but the statement "and does not spread light onto," would that be? So I'm just thinking, if I'm a neighbor and next to the park and the town just put light, and I sit there and it's not quantitative, obviously. This is qualitative. So would that create an issue?
So it's the footprint, right? So I might see the light, right? So I'm not going to say, it's that. I've always heard, like, did you ever drive by and it's just supposed to be like that rectangular? That's your block of light, and it's black all the way around. You still see the light.
Yeah, no.
So I could be sitting on my deck, and now it's black.
Right.
I see no lights at night. Now I'm going to see light.
Yeah.
But the light is not going to be lighting up my property.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this means, is that it's not going to spill onto the adjoining property. It's not going to spill onto the street. It's going to be limited to the play area.
I understand the intent. I'm just thinking, like, as a homeowner, if I did have and I go to this, and I'm going to be like, I don't know, as a lawyer, I mean, is that sufficient language, does not spread light onto? I don't know, I don't have any suggestions to change it either, I'm just.
Well, right, I mean, it's.
I know what you mean, I know what
Right.
the intent is, I
Yeah, mean,
understand it.
Right, generally with lighting regulations, you know, it's your, what do they call it? Your candle footprint is
candle,
supposed to get lesser
Yeah,
as
exactly.
you get closer to your boundary. That's the intent here.
Right.
The intent here is to say, yes, the intention is to direct the light specifically at the play area
Right.
to allow for its evening use. As you take steps away from that play area, it should get darker and darker and darker, and when you get to the boundary line, you should have no light,
Yeah.
right? And then when I step over the boundary line, I should have no light. That's the intent.
So in your assessment, there was no regulations that said like it should be no more than a half a foot candle or so. That's what I'm saying. If
Yeah,
it was a quantitative, it would be easy to say it's 0.2 foot candle, so it's not.
Right, no, you know, I didn't find, you know, the regulations for saying, and I was trying to marry it also with your current regulations, I didn't want to overcomplicate it,
Yep.
Yeah.
because you could eventually say, all right, you know, we will go with this today to accommodate, but maybe we want to take a look at our lighting regulations, and maybe we want to put in dark sky compliant regulations and talk about candle footprints and things like that. And then we could always come back to this
Yeah. All right.
and amend it in the future to say it has to be compliant with the light regulations of section whatever.
What triggers that, the number picture, when we get like a site plan with a light, what triggers that to be done to see where light is spreading versus like this section?
Usually the
Well,
site
we-
plan, that's a lighting plan.
Yeah,
the site plan we
you
look
have
at.
a separate section that deals with lighting.
Yeah.
I would avoid sort of mixing too much of your lighting section into here.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
what you really want to do,
Yeah.
you know, from what Tony's saying here, is go
Yeah.
back to the lighting
Yeah.
section,
I-
beef up the lighting section, and then hold
Yeah.
people to that.
Yep.
And foot candles, again, you want it 0 at the property line, and again, this is largely designed to do that. But if that's really where we're heading, or I think it's already in there, then we need to go back and just look at the lighting regs and make sure the
No,
lighting
that
regs
makes-
do what we want.
That makes absolute sense, to me at least. Yeah, I agree, that's how it should be handled. Because otherwise you're sprinkling lighting regulations in each little piece
Yeah,
of things where you should
And then we have-
consolidate.
you know,
That's where,
then
that's where it should be,
the
consolidated in
issues-
the lighting section.
And because
Agreed.
theoretically, this is not talking about the footprint.
Yeah. Mhm.
This is talking about height, and this is talking about setback.
Yeah, got it.
Right? What I tried to, so that's really
Yeah.
what these two sections are doing.
Yep.
The whole
There
word
could be-
lighting in it, that makes
There
it
could be a
complicated.
third section, there could be a third section in your lighting section that says municipal stadium lighting must be X, right?
Mhm.
And we could deal with it that way, because really all we're dealing with here is
Yeah.
height and setback.
Nice.
What I tried to do, though, is just to say, all right, if we're only going to deal with it here, let's at least give you some peace of mind, saying that the only way you get the relief on height and the relief on setback is if it's dark sky compliant. And I felt that that was enough of a word or enough of a concept to not worry about, or basically to be 0 candle power at the property line. You can't get better than that.
So what is the setback
The setback, well, technically.
that we're now not?
Technically, there would be no setback, right? Theoretically. But there's, like, for example, you have no setback for fences, walls, and terraces. You have, right, the required setback should not apply to certain things. So what we're saying here is, all right, we're going to relieve the setback. Now, if you want to say, I just said no, you're relieved from setback because it was easier. Quite frankly, I didn't think that the town was going to be, there are no courts that I'm aware of that are on the boundary line.
Yeah,
Right.
well, up the
You know,
street.
If you want to say, instead of whatever the setback is, 25, 50 feet, it's got to be at least 10 feet off the line, then we can modify this to say it's relieved to the extent of, but it must be at least 10 feet off the line. I don't think that would be an issue for the town. I just didn't, I didn't know the entire inventory of the town, so I just did it this way, figuring that if a project came up in the future that was offensive, we would deal with it at that point.
So I'm on the fence about I have an open mind about all of it. So regardless of this, my first reaction is, I think I said it at the meeting a few meetings ago about it, is why, this is to everybody in the room, why there's one problem. Why are we, and it is I could take any answer, why are we doing a town-wide regulation solution for one problem when they can go to ZBA for that one problem? Because it's
If I may answer that.
Please, yeah. I'll take any data.
So let me give you the right legal answer, and then say, you're right. We could go to ZBA and we could say, please give us a variance for this, and maybe with a nod and a wink, they will get the variance. Legally, we shouldn't get the variance.
Correct. Yeah. From
right.
So trainings I've gone through.
We're trying to do what's legal.
Yeah.
So and for the town to go forward to ZBA and say, with a nod and a wink, give us a variance, please, for this one thing. If we want to be true to the law, the Supreme Court has come out and very simply said, basically, in the Referral case, there are no variances anymore. What is our hardship? So that's why we're here. We don't have a legal hardship that we could credibly file an application with ZBA.
Good question.
And then just the other thing that I'm struggling with is there's just, you would put it right up to that property line, because I know.
Well, I'm actually. Sorry, go ahead.
The up Middletown Avenue, do those basketball courts have lights?
I'm thinking, yeah.
Because there's a house right there, so
I'm
it's
thinking
like.
they do up in Norfolk Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tennis courts, pretty close.
No, they're right.
And
I don't know where that
basketball courts
that's a house, and
they
it's
have
like,
lights. I don't think
There you
they're
go.
not against there, but in principle they could have been.
Yeah.
With
that's
this,
like,
they could be. It wouldn't spill over on the property, but it would. You could
Well,
direct it
I'm one of
away.
those. How do you say you have carte blanche, and then down the road you're like, oh, but wait, no, we're going to take that back.
Let me
How do we
let
do
me
that?
try to answer your question
Yep.
or address your concern.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. The light can be on the property line under this, theoretically. But it then has to be designed to have zero
Yeah.
spillover,
Mhm.
right? So
Why would you put it there?
how, I don't know of a light that could be right on that boundary line that, even directed inward,
Yeah.
I'm just not aware of it. And if it is, then is it a problem, right?
That
Yeah.
helps.
Well, Ian, this is only lighting higher than 35 feet, because you can have a 35-foot tall light today on the property line, and it doesn't need to meet setback here, it's a pole.
That is allowed?
I mean, that's, as I understand it, it's.
No
well,
setback on the
I
line.
mean, look, I took the position that it's a structure.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
So it's a structure, so otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't want to take the position that the town was doing something that it wouldn't allow a resident to do. So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And we're saying, there's a utilitarian purpose of this. It's for the good of everyone, right? It's not for the good of one property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the recreational.
Right, it's the recreational. So, what sets the town apart from just, and look, we're getting more and more of these in towns that are, just like regular towns, not only in Greenwich anymore. People are putting tennis courts in their backyard and they want to light them up
That's
at
right.
night. They're putting, people are getting more intensive with their backyard usage.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, I can see the difference here, because this is for the general
Yeah. Mhm.
public's use, not for the individual's use.
Yeah, also, let's be realistic about it. If you put a pole right on the property line, how do you pull maintenance on the light bulb?
Yeah,
You gotta
sure.
back up a cherry picker, which is a large truck, and get up there, and you can't drive on your neighbor's property.
No.
So
Okay.
you need some
Flushing out.
room.
Have to always be on
There's-
the front side of it.
You're right, you're 100% right. I mean, there's the reality of it, but, Trish, your concern is legitimate because it says what it says, and, we don't always, reality doesn't always come through, right?
No, and a lot of times, like the questions I ask are one because I'm authentic, like that. This is how my brain is processing it, but also, for people who do pay attention to us, and like I'm a person who sits up here. I have I have zero background in this area, so a lot of my questions I feel that like other people are out there thinking. So that's also why I just sit on this commission and just think out loud and
Sure.
collect the data because and just also so people see we're being thorough and not just like oh town wants something, yes, boom. So.
Yep.
Not to go off on a tangent, but in our regs, it says that the recommended illumination levels established by Illuminating Engineering Society of North America shall be observed. We will comply with that, right?
Right, again, all
That
we're
was,
doing.
that was the point
That's the
we were
light.
talking about, yeah, that's our
All
lighting
we're-
regulation.
All we're doing is getting relief on height and getting relief on setback. We still have to comply with your other regulations,
Okay.
right? We're not relieving,
Yeah, I just
we're not
wanted a
asking
little
for relief
clarification on that
from your
point,
lighting
too.
regulations.
Yep.
My other question is maybe you guys can answer. How were the lights put in at like the football field and like the basketball courts on Route 80? Like if there was a height limit.
Sometimes
Are they
it just happens.
35? Yeah.
I'm mad with visual
Just because we did it wrong the last time, we
I'm just
shouldn't
like-
do it wrong the
Yeah.
next time.
How like
We-
how did that go?
We say that a lot here. It doesn't matter what we did back then. We're moving forward. We're doing it right, right?
My
That
head
was-
just
that
went there,
Well,
like-
20 years ago we did this.
60s and
Well, it's not-
70s, we-
But my
not
question
20
is
years
like,
ago,
it's
yeah.
one of those like, why didn't we think to put this in before? One, just common sense, even decades ago. One, just common sense, and two, from projects that have been done. It's like, it's one of those like, oh, like I cleaned out my junk drawer and I didn't know there was $1 million in there. Like, how did we not do this? So that was my other thought. Like, how is this not in here?
Any further discussion? I have a technicality. I forgot to have someone read in the legal notice for these.
The
So
pub-
we can
haven't
do that
done
now,
this
right?
start.
You can do it now.
We can do it now. Maybe before we,
But aren't we allowed to talk before we start the public hearing, or no?
Well, technically, this is, read it in now. This
Okay.
will not,
Or you didn't, we were just having a conversation, now you're starting a public hearing. So-
Yeah.
And we'll just incorporate everything by reference.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll read.
it.
Notice is hereby given that the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold an in-person public hearing at 6:30 p.m. or soon thereafter on Thursday, November 18th, 2021 at the North Branford Town Hall, Council Chambers, 909 Foxton Road, North Branford, Connecticut, to consider the following. Application 2021-19, proposing a zoning regulations text amendment to amend 24.3, height, buildings and structures, and add 24.4.11, municipal recreational lighting, applicant, Town of North Branford Parks and Recreation. At this hearing, all interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communications will be received. Copies of the proposals are on file for public inspection in the Town Hall Planning and Zoning Department.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would just ask, for the record, that the conversation that took place is added into this record as if it actually occurred in this record.
Good. Do we have to?
So moved.
So
Yeah, I would just, you could just approve that, basically we would call it a non-pro-tunc motion. It's as if it were. This way we don't have to restate.
Absolutely.
870 requires lots of different things. I'm not sure, it only requires you'll read the legal.
Yeah, it
notice
wasn't,
before you start.
we always used to. That's why when I
I
saw it, I'm like,
understand,
ah, we
that's-
forgot to do
it's-
I
that.
wasn't even sure if you opened it up because I was late,
So,
Yeah,
but now we're open.
we're open, yep.
Do you have to say seated at this public hearing are?
Yeah, see, the public hearing are Sienna, Mace, and Geldenzi. So we'll
Okay.
incorporate all prior conversations into
Perfect.
the
Thank you.
record now. Thank you. Okay, now we can continue with our discussions. Any further discussions on this?
this is a public hearing, and there's a member of the audience who would like to speak on this matter. So.
Yep. Any more open up to the public? We can obviously have further conversations and deliberations.
Yeah, well, public.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, this moment in time, we'll open it up to the public. If you'd like to speak, please come on up, name and address, and then make your comments, statements, or questions.
Hi, Donna Persley, Lordview Drive. I have a couple comments. I like where he was going with this. It's just that you could use a little better explanation. The words dark sky compliant mean absolutely nothing. It's like saying a natural chicken breast. There's no enforcement to it. It's just, it's good intentions, but it means nothing. So I actually, Eric should have sent you some papers that I had to kind of add on to what he had. I'm sorry, I don't have you.
I've been called worse.
No, it's, okay, so with the height, he says municipal recreational light poles, providing that the lighting is directional to reduce spillover and dark sky compliant. I would say in addition, where's my part? And that all light sources shall be shielded to prevent the light source from being seen outside the play area, installed horizontally, and conform to the requirements of sections 35.5.7, 41.2.2, and 41.2.11 of our lighting regulations. So it really doesn't add that much. It just refers the applicant to the lighting application, the lighting regs of our zoning regulations, so they know what to follow. And then I have another paragraph that said, if the commission seems necessary, that they shall require the applicant to submit an outdoor lighting plan to show that the location, height above grade, type of illumination, lumens, and the lumen area and the source light for each one. And that's actually taken from another part of the regulation. So I'm just taking different words from the actual regulations. So it's adding on to what he started and just kind of giving a little bit more detail to make it, just to have it say, like when he says that you're going to see just a block of light where there's going to be zero spillover, saying dark sky compliant won't do it. And I also, on the back of that, sent you the actual parts of the lighting regulations so you can see what they say, which, you know, Eric knows we need to update because this was done a long time ago. And then on the other side with the setback, same thing. I pretty much say the same thing that he has. He ends with including the public right of way, and I say that, you know, all light sources should be shielded, which is part of the lighting regulations anyway, and to prevent the light source from being seen outside the play area. Now that's important because, like he was saying, if you're on your back deck, you'll see an area of light. Okay, that's different than actually seeing the light bulb. Okay, when you see that light bulb, then that glares into your eyes, especially when you're near a roadway, which some of these may be near a roadway. And if you're near a roadway and you see a light shining directly in your eyes, all of a sudden your pupils get big and you can't see the shadows, and it makes driving very dangerous. So the lights need to be shielded, so you can't actually see the light bulb. You can see the light, you know, the lighted area, but not the actual bulb. And that's what glare is. And the higher the pole, the more of a problem that could be. Because when you're driving along on the road, you'll see some lights, you know, you see all the cars have these new headlights, right? Some of us may be getting a little older, some of us not. But when these headlights hit you in the eyes, you can't see momentarily. And these are not high beams, even though they might look like it, but you can't see because your eyes can't see bright and dark at the same time. And it's dangerous. And I've seen on some planning and zoning applications where they'll have a lighting plan and they'll show like a parking lot or something, and they'll actually have the foot candles all written out in the parking lot, how much is lit. And then right outside the parking lot, it'll show less and less, it'll show 0 outside the target area or outside the property. Now, I know that, we can require that for all applications. And the application that you may get in front of you at some point may show you some foot candle measurements, but they're from a long distance away. And the road, I don't know how far the road is actually from this light pole. It must be less than the normal setback or else we wouldn't be here. So I don't know, 25, 50 feet or whatever it is. So it needs to be that 0 light shining on to the roadway. Let's see, what else do I have here? And like Trish said, this whole thing is new with the LEDs. There's a lot more to lighting than there used to be. Before, you go outside and put in a 40-watt bulb, a 100-watt bulb, and you were all set, and that was it. Nowadays, there's a lot more going on. You don't do watts anymore. Okay, watts means nothing. Lumens is the brightness. And on your actual light bulb, any light bulb, you'll see the lumens on it. And that's the brightness of the light bulb. Then you have color temperature, which is totally different. So the color temperature, like you look around this room, you see some lights are yellow and some lights are blue. The bluer ones have a higher color temperature. They're more blue, even though they're not LED. You go outside, house lighting. You'll see some of it is that bright blue one, and you have the yellow. That also matters when it comes to applications that Eric is going to help us with in the next few months or something with the lighting regs. Because the bright blue from the bright blue LEDs is very harmful to your health. That's why they say not to look at your cell phone right before bed. And I also sent you tennis court lightings. He mentioned the International Electrical Association. And there are guidelines that them and the Tennis Association came up with for tennis courts. So I just, I sent a link to their actual website, but I also sent a little sheet here to say what the different classes, like recreational, which is what we would be 3. And it gives you, glare, color temperature, light rendering. And if you guys ever wanted to learn all about LED lights, I'd be willing to come in and give you a little talk about all the different parts of them. And let's see, our town is trying to be sustainable CT certification. I don't know if you've heard about that, where they're trying to do different things. And part of the certification is to try to make all new lighting to be the proper lighting. And I think that's either 3 or 4, I think it's 3K for street lights, maybe 4K for everything else. And everything should be, the International Dark Sky Association actually has a seal, and that may be kind of what he was going with. They're a group out of Vermont, they're worldwide, and they actually approve different fixtures for dark sky. And when we get any lighting in town, it should either have that seal or it should have a sticker on it saying full cutoff, because that's what lights need to be. And if they don't have the sticker on it, they probably aren't, because it's something the company would brag about.
Yeah.
So, got a little bit off topic with this, the height and the setback, but there's text there which I think just refers the people to the other lighting sections, just like other parts of our code. Always it's multiple times in our regulations where they refer them to the different lighting sections.
Mhm.
So then we just fix the one section and we're all set.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. That's exactly what we good. Thank you.
What determines the height of a light pole?
Temperature?
What determines the height? Because we're saying like this light pole doesn't need any
pole.
limits. What determines the height?
Engineers.
Yeah.
Like, can you have a 100-foot pole? Not that you would, but
I believe at a certain height, you're going to lose your
yeah, you're
Yeah.
value. So, these ultimately will whatever the industry standards are for recreational, you know, and I don't think you're gonna get a 70-foot height if you need a 30-foot height.
Yeah, it would cost the town more to do that anyway,
Right.
so, yeah.
Again, I get nervous with the whole, they can go as high as they want.
But no buildings
Not
this
in
time.
reality. I know, I was a little nervous, like, we opt out of many other things to say we want to follow our regs. I'm like, we're really going to opt, like, say our own stuff can't follow the regs.
Anyone else from the public like to speak? Okay. And we'll close the public hearing.
Yep.
Motion to close public hearing
The motion,
I make a motion to close the public hearing for application 2021-19.
second?
Second.
Any discussion about that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the public hearing is closed. Further discussion?
No, I like that. I like that it's tightened up because, again, one of those, you know, we can't just have our town
Yeah.
being exempt from, you know, rules and regulations and having, being able to do whatever they want. So I like, and then one, that, two, always to protect the neighbors, the residences. So I like it's with the, it's simple, because I agree, before it was too much. It was
Yep.
overreaching, but this, it's short, sweet, to the point, simple, and seems to satisfy those two. It protects the residences, but it satisfies, and it was a good point to say, like, this is for our town. It is for the residents, so they can use the facilities when it gets dark out.
I think for me, it was, also I was getting hung up on a lot of the discussion Donna mentioned, and I think it appropriately stated that's in the lighting regs.
Yeah, and
This is
in the
about
future
setbacks,
we'll
and
tight-
this
we'll
is
tighten
setback
that
and
up.
height. There's opportunities, but that's in the lighting regs.
Yeah, I would avoid mixing
Yeah.
up
Yeah, no,
things
absolutely.
in different
Yep.
places here. So I think
For sure.
to the extent we need better lighting regs, everyone seems to acknowledge we
Exactly.
need better
Yeah.
lighting
Yep.
regs.
Mhm.
So that's sort of the next step here. Once we've done this, we can go and solve the other problems
Absolutely.
we all know we have.
Exactly.
I have put together a draft motion if you're
Yep.
interested.
One last, Ron, I didn't hear from Ron. Anything, Ron?
No, it's, I'm trying to keep myself into,
Keep out of the lighting.
keep out of the
Yeah.
lighting, talk about poles, you know, and be on.
Setbacks.
Height and setbacks.
The height and setback is what
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah.
and I'm hearing everything that, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Donna.
Donna was saying, and, you know, that would get into temperature and color,
Yeah.
off on a tangent again.
Yeah.
Roll myself back
Yeah.
into, it's the pole.
Yep.
Right,
As Eric stated,
Right.
we all agree there's great opportunity to enhance the lighting
And my
regulation,
only-
but that's a
if you
separate
want-
thing.
Wait,
You wanted to
when
make
we
this
close the
slightly
public hearing,
What?
you can close the public hearing.
No, I know, I know. I'm speaking to them now as their lawyer. So, you see, I wear multiple hats in the town. So, if you wanted to make it tighter, again, you don't have to adopt what was put into the public hearing if you felt
Yeah.
you have the opportunity.
That was my
to.
question, do we?
Right,
You mentioned 10-foot setback.
right.
And we thought that was important.
Or you could simplify the language even further, taking into consideration what you heard during the public hearing.
Yeah, I was wondering if we wanted to do
And
that.
you could say, providing the municipal lights, comply with the lighting regulations.
Yeah.
Right? And just simply do that and strike the dark sky compliant language, and then you
Yeah.
can address
I
your
like that.
shielding and everything in your lighting regulations.
That's-
I was going to
Right.
ask
I
us
like
if
that,
we wanted
because
to.
then we're creating another conflict that we're trying to avoid.
Right, so this
Yeah.
way you don't have to,
Yeah.
we're simplifying it, because then if you leave the language
Yeah.
as I drafted it, which I was trying to make it better, but I think the speaker made it even better, but not to get into even the shielding of it, simply strike the reference. If we left this dark sky compliant language in as drafted, that's going to potentially conflict with your lighting regulations.
Right.
Right? So if we simply say, for example, 24.4.11, the required setback distance shall not apply to municipal recreational light poles providing that the municipal lighting is compliant with, if you want to say sections, whatever, or with the lighting regulations of the zoning regulations. And just everything else can be stricken.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, is it was a good point, and do we want to incorporate that? Which I'm leaning towards yes as well.
I'm in favor of just what you said.
Yeah,
Scratch any, because we're creating inconsistency when we go to change the lighting reg. We're going to have something sitting here talking about dark sky, and if we say it could be dark sky or this or that, then this just says dark sky, so.
yeah. So,
It
yeah.
Makes sense.
No, I don't know. Maybe you could leave, the dark sky part of it in, because this is specific for the municipality.
But or even the municipality shouldn't be in our lighting regs, because it's going to speak to X amount of foot candles at this, it's going to speak, eventually it could speak to color, it could speak to.
Yeah, we would say this
It could-
always has to comply with our lighting, no matter, because our lighting is going to get tightened up even more.
When the Vermont organization changes its name or whatever, or there's another organization that's even more conservative and we want to adopt it, we have a reference to dark sky.
The other thing to keep in mind is, setback is not going to change. Those issues are not going to change.
Correct.
Height may not change, could, but lights are changing every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right, so, so that's where you need more flexibility, because as we change in technology, you're gonna update your lighting regulations
Yeah.
more regularly than your setback regulations.
I personally prefer, if possible, referencing it as a number and not just lighting regs,
Well,
but.
here, I took,
Yeah.
originally drafted. and
I know, so
marked
now
up
what do we
Based
do?
on what we talked about here. And what I did was I struck out this piece of it and then added in the
Oh,
sections.
good, you have that, yeah.
Okay.
I wrote, yeah.
Because those are the sections that
Yeah.
were cited to by
Yep.
Donna, so I just took them and
Good.
clunked them in here. Okay?
Yep.
And I can sort of mark the rest of these up to do that if that's where you want to go.
So,
So what would we say, like, in the municipal recreational light poles, provided that it follows the regulations, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, let me show you what I did here, which was,
Yeah.
providing municipal lighting is, and I struck out everything else, and then I put in
Compliant.
compliant with.
I think, yeah, that.
Okay? We can do the same thing down here as well,
yeah.
okay? And then work from that. Okay?
Yeah.
Does that work for you? Okay, let me go back.
Yeah, and I like the referencing the actual number of the
All right, just
section.
being a semantics person, do we municipal recreational light poles, and the verbiage, outdoor recreational play areas, is it understood for municipal recreational light poles that it includes outdoor recreational play areas, or that should be in there and then say, as long as it complies with blah, 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 our other regs? Because municipal light poles are different, in my mind, as from a municipal recreational light pole, but then would somebody say, well, what's recreational mean? And then having an outdoor recreational play areas helps define what recreational means?
Okay, well, then we'll go back and we'll leave in,
Like municipal recreational light poles for outdoor recreational play areas, provided that they comply with those
Yeah,
sections.
Just further
yeah, well, the
defining
language,
it through an example.
yeah, the language I've left in reads, and municipal recreational light poles, okay. And then you want, is directional lighting has been designed for outdoor recreational play areas?
I don't think we need directional lighting, because wouldn't that
Okay.
be in the lighting regs?
Okay, so then we're gonna then,
It's just more for, like, municipal
and-
recreational light poles for outdoor recreational
Yeah,
play
put it right
areas
there.
will comply with
okay.
those sections.
So it's all together.
Let me
Because our
do
directional
that.
lighting, that's in our,
Mhm.
is that addressed in our regs?
If you have directional, then you can.
Like, we don't need to say directional, like, isn't that in the lighting regs?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't need to say that. But in 24.4.11, do we want to keep in, for now, does not spread light onto an adjoining property, including a public right-of-way? Question?
That's not problematic like dark sky compliant.
Okay. So
So-
we'll keep that in.
I think that I think it could be kept in.
Okay.
I don't know how Ron feels about that. It's still gonna have to be, we're gonna still have to meet the lighting regs, so it's gonna have to meet that, so.
I don't mind being redundant.
So you're gonna leave 24.4.11 at this point unchanged? Is that the?
It'll match 24.3, but leave in, and does not spread light onto an adjoining property, including a public right-of-way?
Okay.
Get rid
So-
of dark sky compliant, for sure.
Let me read then, shall not apply to municipal recreational light poles, providing the municipal lighting is directional lighting, we're taking directional lighting out?
From 24.4.11?
Yes.
Yeah, because isn't directional lighting, I'm assuming that's in the lighting regs.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to, then we're going to say, has been designed for outdoor recreational play areas.
Yep,
To reduce light spillover outside the play area.
yep.
Take out is dark sky compliant, and then say, and does not spread light onto adjoining property, including public right of way.
Yes.
And is compliant with those sections.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me mark up another copy here, so that I have one, and you will have one.
We have to have another public hearing because we changed it.
No,
No.
because we're reducing,
This is how sausage gets made.
Yeah.
okay, let me show you what it looks like now. Okay. Okay, so we're taking out what I've crossed out here, and adding in the language about complying with these
Correct, yeah.
sections here. Okay?
Yes.
These are the same, right?
These two are the
Okay.
same.
Okay, good. So,
Okay? At some point when you vote on something, I will need a copy back, just so I can make sure that we have the right copy for,
Yeah. Pass it down.
Cross-
No, I was good. It's compliant, section, yeah. Yeah. And, yeah.
okay?
Give that one back. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, do I have to read?
This is the motion, yeah.
Or do you want to test out the neglect?
No, I can't.
All of that?
Any,
No, why don't I? Do I have to read all of this? I could just say application, right? Or do I have to read all of it?
Well-
Then you want me to take a drink of water?
let's.
Why don't you go and?
I think you should read it all.
It doesn't hurt to read it all. I mean, the specific part that's going to be important is the additional language we're adding in.
Yes.
So-
Before, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I am
And
too.
the other piece of it, on the bottom here, that I would like you to say is that's consistent with the plan of conservation and development, because that's important for the regulation. And then I'm gonna need you to give me an effective date, because the effective date here is important for when this will go onto the books. Okay? And I need a time for legal notice to go in the paper, so I would request, let's see, it's the 18th, if you can give me to December 15th on effective date, that would be really ideal.
Effective December 15th. All right. So I am reading all of this.
Yes.
Awesome. It always makes me think when I had to talk in church one time and I like started coughing and I got embarrassed. So this is real for me right now.
Don't worry, you're not on camera or anything.
I'm recording and this is like legal. I move to approve with an effective date of December 15th, 2021. The Planning and Zoning Application 2021-19, petition of Town of North Branford, Town Manager and Parks and Recreation, to amend the North Branford zoning regulations to read as follows. 24.3, height. No building or other structure shall exceed the number of stories and/or the maximum height, whichever is less, as specified in Schedule B. This limitation, however, shall not apply to the following when not used for human occupancy: building spires, cupolas, and belfries that are solely ornamental in function, and solely ornamental in function, and chimneys, flagpoles, and silos, as well as such accessory features as water tanks, elevator, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, and similar equipment that are located on the roof of a building, and do not occupy more than 20% of the area of the roof, and municipal recreational light poles for outdoor recreational play areas in compliance with sections 35.557, 41.2.2, and 41.1.11 of the regulations. In addition, detached communication towers in industrial districts may have a greater height than specified in Schedule B, provided that A, such height does not exceed 100 feet, B, a site development plan for the tower is submitted to the Commission for approval under PAR 62.6 in Section 41. C, the applicant substantiates to the Commission that both the tower and the additional height are essential to the operation of the permitted use on the lot. And D, all the requirements of these regulations are met, including but not limited to PAR 41.2.2. Additionally, the following new paragraph shall be added. Section 24.4.11, Municipal Recreational Lighting. The required setback distances shall not apply to municipal recreational light poles, providing that the municipal lighting has been designed for outdoor recreational play areas to reduce light spillover outside the play area and does not spread light onto adjoining property, including a public right-of-way, and is compliant with sections 35.57, 41.2.2, and 41.1.11 of the regulations. The Commission finds that this proposed amendment is consistent with the Town Plan of Conservation and Development. This proposal supports the goal to monitor the adequacy of the Stanley T. Williams School to meet the needs of the Town Senior Center, Recreation Department, Social Services, and Board of Education.
Second.
Second.
Does it matter that the regs that she references are wrong?
We will clear up those
Okay.
time. I was basing it on what you gave me. I will go back and double check what those numbers look like here.
I
Okay?
just didn't know if it mattered.
Good. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the motion. There's
Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to send it
He's
because the
gonna do
references
that.
are wrong. Yeah, okay. Take that back. Okay. Next order of business. Under new business, application 2021-20, 1332 Middletown Avenue, Stanley T. Williams Community Center. Site plan, section 23, schedule A, use B1, installation of 4 50-foot-high lights at the existing multi-purpose courts. Owner applicant, Town of North Branford.
Am I doing that too, or are you doing that?
I'll take care of that.
Oh, thank God. All right.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, this is identical to what you've already previously seen. There have been no changes from the last time. The only issue that happened was you ran out of time because this original application was filed in June. It had to be acted on in a certain number of days. We ran out of days, we drew it, and we'll come back with the exact same application. As I previously mentioned in the last hearing, you have a diagram showing where the 4 light bulbs are going to be on the tennis courts or whatever you'd like to call them, only one of which is next to the road there. Per the description of the memo, these would be 50-foot-high galvanized steel poles with 4 light structure systems, total light control, PLC LED, 600 luminaires lights, and these would be push-button timers activated by the user and would be just as they would go off at a certain time at night so that they could not be used all night long. And then here the goal is to allow these courts to be used on a more year-round basis, or at least during times of the year like now when it gets dark early. Again, this is a fairly limited application, but again, I think this is sort of held up by the fact that we didn't have regs that allowed it up until now.
So, some of the things we were talking, you can see the poles are literally on,
Yeah, right there, right, it's
Adjacent to
right
the
on the
court.
court.
I don't exactly know where this is, but see it's it's 0 here, but it doesn't really show where the street is.
Well, again, if you have a copy of this sort of gives you best
Yeah.
indication of where you are relative to the street.
I was just saying that this one, this
Yeah, that one doesn't tell you
doesn't really
anything
show you
about
where the street is, yeah. But
So
it,
you-
well, I was just looking because it shows the 0-foot candles or lumens. This is. Oh, here, this is.
You have,
I believe it looks like 0. There's a street at 0. It's all pretty much 0 at the street. 0.4.
Is there a page number?
What's on this one, yeah.
Oh, I see it now. Oh, that's the thing that I was looking for.
Yeah.
It shows Middletown Avenue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it shows,
yeah,
it
look,
shows
this
the
one
road, it's pretty much
shows the zeros.
very low. 0 is
So then
0.2,
it's not
there's a
even
0.2
Mhm.
close.
And, okay, that's the back one.
Yeah, I was looking, well, it's here, and this is less than 50 feet.
Yeah.
So you can see that it's,
Yeah, it's still a distance away, you know.
Yeah.
that's-
yeah.
Well, I'm just saying
It's
it's,
approximately 40
it's
feet off. the
30s, it's 30s, 20s and 30s on the courts, and even right next to the court, it just drops down significantly. Hence being directional.
And these are supposed to be, what, 50 feet?
50 feet in height, is that what you're asking? Or-
Yeah.
Okay, yes, 50 foot height.
Yeah, they're really big. Look at that. Pretty cool.
What's the length of time on the timer?
Well, let's see what it says. Doesn't say on the cover here, I don't see it's mentioned elsewhere. I mean, I'm guessing it's probably something in the order of about half an hour, but let me see if I can.
These would be LED, right?
Yes, they're
So they'd be
LED.
on instantly. There's no startup time.
There's no startup time. It says here, again, 600 luminaire LED, and the other one is for 1200 luminaire LED. So this is all LED lighting. Let me see if I can find the time. Pretty good. I'm finding that.
I guess it really doesn't matter that much. It does state that the lighting will be on a set schedule.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Okay, the lights remain on the preset amount of time dictated by the timer dial. So you can set it on a dial to stay on whatever the dial amount is. So it's going to be presumably set by Parks and Rec, whatever that dial number is.
But it also shuts off at a set time.
Right.
Well, you
So if
cannot
the
be
park closes at
activated
8, it shuts off at 8. You can't do anything after 8, whatever the time is.
Can I say one thing?
It's a hammer. I'm not a fan of that, but that's up to you.
This is not technically a public hearing.
I know
This is
that.
a site plan. So
That's
you-
why, yeah.
that's the chair's discretion as to whether to recognize you or not.
Sure, yeah. Please.
Look at the color temperature.
Yeah, they're looking for that. I'm not sure I saw that. I'm sure it's got just about everything else in there. Ambient temperature. $5,700 Kelvin. Lamp is a Cree lamp emitting diode LED. Color kit is an average 5,700 Kelvin. 75 typical CRI, whatever that is. 5,700 Kelvin. It's obviously very directional.
Yeah.
Because you can see that.
This last
It's,
picture
it's,
is this one.
yeah. And this too, I mean, you can see that,
Yeah.
especially when you look at this. These are, it's like 36, 30, 31, and then literally right, not too far away, 0.2.
And it's covered,
Zero.
so,
It's
because
pretty
right,
much-
this picture shows that like there's no,
Yeah.
there's no glare. This is the one.
Yeah.
So there's no glare like that. So that's,
The new technology of lighting.
yeah, it's not the old.
Which is good.
School forever ago football field lights. So it's.
What's in it, the vapor bulbs.
Yeah, and you hear them
Yeah.
pissing
We're
on.
talking now.
Yeah, no, there's
Yeah,
no
it's,
glare.
the court is very well lit. High of like 36, I guess, with candles
Yeah.
illuminated, and then literally
There's no
the.
glare. And it's not spilling
it's
over.
pretty
into
much
the roadway.
0.2, like, very,
Yeah.
but Middletown Avenue, you're at 0. 0.2 is the highest, and a lot of zeros, so it's very directional. It's cut off. which is good.
And it's still 40 feet from the road, which
Yep.
is what we're concerned on. Good.
Any other questions, comments? Victor's comments are about the next, right? Yeah, that's the
Oh,
next.
Victor meaning,
Yeah, the town engineer, that's,
Oh.
it's about the
So
next.
108, which is not actually even going forward
What?
tonight. they
Oh,
just
okay.
took it back on board, which is-
So no-
Here is the
No,
draft
he's
motion,
not allowed to.
which honestly matches pretty much exactly what the draft motion was last time. I just updated the dates and such on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I move to approve planning and zoning application 2021-20, site plan request under section 23, Schedule A, Use B1 buildings, uses and facilities of the town of North Branford for the installation and associated work of 4 50-foot high lights at the existing multipurpose courts at 1332 Middletown Avenue. Assessors map 62A, lot 19, zone R40, owner applicant town of North Branford, as contained in submitted application documents and shown on plans / specifications entitled STW Community Center Courts, sheets 1 through 10, and Municipal Lighting submittal for production, prepare for STW Community Center Courts lighting project. With the following standard conditions: 1C, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 17. There are no special conditions, correct?
There are no special conditions unless you want to make some.
Nope. The second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Ron?
Nope.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes.
I'm going to pass that to you.
Yeah, I don't know if you.
Yeah, no,
No.
he's gonna send it.
Yep, gotcha. Thought you said that. I wasn't sure. It was 'cause- Okay, very good. Next order of business under old business, application 2021-13, 290 to 298 Forest Road. It's an R40 zone. Site plan for relocation of existing access driveway and parking, drainage improvements, and field regrading. Applicant, Town of North Branford, Department of Public Works.
Tied to the relocation of the police station, which,
Oh.
as you may be aware, is still under discussion
Oh.
as to where they're going to put it. Therefore, we need to table this again for another month until we figure out what we're doing with the police station.
Does this have to be extended at all, or?
No, we have
Nothing like that?
another month on this. I
Okay.
checked on it. It was actually relatively recently filed.
Okay, good, yep.
So we're good.
All
But
right.
again, if it keeps dragging on, we're going to drop it off and come back with it when we're
Gotcha.
ready. Hopefully, they'll make up their mind sooner than later, but I'm not encouraged based on recent trends here, so we'll see.
Okay. So next order of business then under
Well, you need
6.
to table, right? Someone needs to move.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I make a motion to table
Thank you.
application 2021-13.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we'll table that. Okay, now under 6 under other business, adoption of the 2022 meeting schedule. So it, first and third,
Yeah.
which is good except for July and December. We'll deal with individual conflicts as we have them,
As
right?
always, yep.
Yep, but I mean, first and third is good way of remembering things.
Yeah.
Since that's how I feel about
July,
it. Ron, any other
August, September.
comments on it?
Nope. I mean,
Ron's trying to figure out when he's in
We have
the
a-
tropics
meeting on St. Patrick's Day, but that's
or
all
in
right.
Europe or somewhere else that he goes.
I will be missing a few meetings.
Yeah, good. Rub it in. I don't want to hear it. All right. Any, want to make a motion to adopt the
I make a motion to adopt the 2022 meeting schedule.
Second.
Have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Town planners report, 7, application Old Post Road?
Yeah, the applicant is, for better or worse, detained in Burlington, Vermont right now, and is not here.
Vermont
and is-
too? Who knows?
And is therefore requested we not move on his application until he's able to be here to be heard on it.
That makes sense.
So, we're not gonna be acting on it, we're not gonna even receive it at this point in time, so you'll receive it at your next meeting.
Okay.
So we will not start the time clock rolling on it, okay?
So we can keep Victor's
Keep-
report?
Keep the report.
And I think that's all that was in our packets on this, right?
Yep,
Okay, so we'll just keep Victor's report for next time?
yep, that'd be good. I know that Victor has been in contact with the engineer, and they are working on getting some new test pits done in the detention basins. There's concern about the high water table there. And as a result, if the bottom of the detention basins are going to be sitting in groundwater, they may need to elevate them and make the, make the detention basins broader to accommodate for that. So you
Okay.
may be seeing amended plans before you even get the plans formally submitted. We'll
Okay.
see what happens with that. But again, particularly in light of the fact that he expected some controversy, which is here tonight, but he expected the neighbors to be upset like they were last time. He wanted to be here to address any concerns anybody had. So at this point, he's not here. We'll take it up in December. Okay? You don't
Okay.
need to make any motions on it because technically it hasn't even been received.
Gotcha. Okay.
The other couple of things to talk about, I have been talking with the town manager, with others, based on what you said last time, there was a thought that you would like to sort of go on record about where the police station should be. So I have given you a memo to the town manager and the town council that sort of summarizes your thoughts as I understood them. I'm happy to amend this in any way, shape, or form you think is appropriate, but at least I wanted you to have something to work from if you wanted to go on record with the town manager and the town council regarding the location of the police department.
Yeah, the only other, I don't know if it's worth adding or not, or I'd have to pull out the plan again, but we held those sessions
That
with
was
the
my
community,
question.
and we also sent a survey out to the community
Yep.
and got pretty good response.
Okay, would you like
And
me
it-
to add in that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that'd
I
be
think, it was like a 56, I don't know, it was a certain percentage of people favored that. So that was a pretty good assessment of,
Yeah,
town, at
even
least the
the-
people that took the time to respond to that.
Want it in the center.
I think the majority wanted it, so, but it's been, this has been part of, the Wall Field was part of the plan of conservation development, the prior plan of conservation development, to utilize that as potential growth.
Okay, well, I
you know,
can't do
mixed
much
use
about
and
what
things
was in
like
the
that.
prior.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm just saying, it has
No,
a
yeah,
long
there's-
history of,
Okay,
So-
we can say long history of that.
yeah,
Well-
but the current one does stay with current then.
Well,
It's fine, it's fine with you.
So yeah, one ad that it also like the residents
Yeah.
responded that they want the police station more centralized. And can we also add that, to my knowledge, 2 studies were done for the Wall Street site that said the best use for that, and the conclusion was mixed use.
Mhm.
So I would like, that also added.
And Yale, it was a Yale design study years ago.
Yeah, and then there was-
another one.
And then, I don't know if it was part of the plan of conservation and development, but there were 2 pieces of data that said that site is best for mixed use.
And I think the community wanted a centralized town center.
Okay, well,
So moving pieces of around don't make sense in accordance with our plan of conservation and development and what the community wants.
Yeah, I think this is great, solid, and
Yeah,
just
I
have
think
those
so
2
too.
pieces of data.
okay. What I will probably end up doing is revising this. I'll probably email it out to you folks just to make sure you have one more chance to look at it before I send it in. I have like the 30th or whatever to get this back to the town manager, and then you guys will be on record for whatever that's worth as to what you want to do with this.
Sure.
Okay?
Good, thank you for doing this, yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate
that, I
it.
saw that felt supported of what we do.
Okay, I'll work on this.
Spent a lot of time on that. Lots of time.
Well,
We should at least, doesn't mean we have to, like you said, it's advisory, but we should not just not consider it, so it needs to be considered.
Well, in fact, one of the things that would happen as part of a town application of this sort, if they were to come in for police station, they would have to do what's called an 826 referral, not 826, 872, there's a statute, I'm losing it at the moment, that has to come to you for a referral saying that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
consistent with POCD. And if you're saying it's not consistent with POCD, then obviously they should know that now,
Yeah.
so that they can try and gear what they're doing to something that's going to get the proper referral. Again,
Agreed.
annoyed I can't count the net for the right statute number off the top of my head, but it's late and I haven't done this in a while. Anyway, there is, again, a statutory referral for municipal applications regarding POCD consistency, so we want to make sure that that gets in the record up.
Yep,
And it's due by November 30th or December 30th?
November 30th. They're going to have some sort of workshop to talk about all of this within the next week or two, which is why I wanted to get this to you now, so we can get it to them in time for that workshop.
Yeah.
There's obviously a sense that this is sort of coming apart, it seems a little bit
Yeah.
here, and they're trying to pull it all back together and make some sort of decision on it. So I wanted to get this back to them prior to that, so that this.
Yeah, agreed, because that workshop, yeah, so they have to do the workshop.
Yeah, the workshop is the 30th.
30.
Oh, the workshop is a
I
Thursday.
think that's a
Okay.
Monday, I believe.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, so that's what we're aiming to get.
Yeah,
back
this
into.
is solid, thank you.
Yeah, good, thank you very much for that.
It is now 7:49. I don't know if you want to start your discussion about the POCD stuff we were talking about last time, or if you want to get that for another day, or.
I say wait, because
say
Ron
wait.
is not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't do my homework, totally forgot.
And I didn't do mine either.
Sorry.
I was
I
only
totally-
waiting because you
thank you.
did.
Yeah.
But Rob's also not here.
I just have a couple of questions, and of course, it's sidewalk time again. Now, with Biden signing the infrastructure thing, I was just wondering, now I'm talking off the top of my head, there's funding going to be somewhere. Would our economic development said, putting in a sidewalk from Stanley T to William Douglas, and I can't see how that's possible with the hill and the curving of the road and everything like that. But that,
What's William Douglas?
hmm?
What's what you said to William Douglas? Or
I'm
Edward
sorry.
Smith?
I know
Edward
Smith.
Smith.
Oh,
For
I don't know,
my-
you have
for
so
my-
much history, I'm like, is William Douglas another
Yeah. It's
street,
the
a
school-
church?
It's a school a little
It's like
farther down the
teaching.
road. But
Yeah.
knowing our intersection there, has the state done a study? Is it possible or is it not possible?
They did a study to put a rotary in there.
Yeah, I don't know that the state has done a study on that specific question. My suspicion is you would have to have an engineer sort of go and look at that specifically. I don't know,
Yes,
yeah.
and I'm sure there's money involved.
Yes.
It's gonna cost.
It would cost, I would guess, somewhere in the order of about $20,000 now, since we're designed, done for that kind of work.
Yeah, but would that be considered infrastructure?
It would be considered infrastructure. You can get a steep grant for that sort of thing. You can include the engineering design costs in the steep grant, but again, steep grants tend to be either 75-25 or 80-20 matches, so the town is gonna need to kick in some amount of money to make it happen. I don't know that the town wants to kick in even 25% necessarily, whatever the cost is gonna be on this thing. Mind you, some of it can be done in-house, so if, for instance, Public Works wants to contribute some of their time and energy to
Mhm.
constructing this, you can consider that part of your matching grant. But that all involves a much wider discussion than we're ready to have sort of in front of the planning commission tonight.
Right. But
I think it's part of our, Ron, I think it's part of the homework that we're gonna try to bring things we're passionate or things we think are important and prioritize.
Yeah,
Because if we're gonna ask the town for money, we've gotta understand all that we think we should do on our POCD and there could be other things that are gonna cost money too.
And
We can only go after certain
Right, that-
things, and we've
that-
got to
that being-
target it.
That being the case, I was just thinking,
Yeah.
you know, the president just cited the infrastructure
Yeah.
thing, and, you know, strike while the iron is hot. If there's
Yeah.
funding available,
Yeah.
you know, I was at the
Hopefully
barber
we're-
shop there, and do you realize? you
Hopefully we're
can't-
fixing our crumbling bridges and railroad.
Well, they said it also is gonna go to, they wanted to go to sewers as well, so
Yeah.
I was thinking about tapping into some of the money. for
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, my
expanding our
thing is
sewers.
you just
Okay.
can't cross from,
Yeah, that-
let's say,
Yeah, I know.
that hill.
one side of Middletown Avenue
Yeah.
to the other side. It's impossible.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, and that's super,
It is.
super unsafe, 'cause
That's a tough
I
section.
even hate coming out of there like 5 o'clock, like from the Northford store or something, let alone
Yeah.
walking.
Yes.
Yeah.
you know,
Rotary.
we're sort of 15 years intersections here in town.
Rotary.
In a relatively short time here, I noticed that your intersections are not all they could be as far as
Safe.
State did do a study of putting a rotary there. There's a plan for a rotary. To eliminate that at the right aid, trying to take a left, you would come down and go around and then,
That little wedge in the center there is owned by the church, so it's privately owned
Oh, right,
property. And it's,
yeah, it was beyond that, though, it was,
Well, that hill is so
I don't know
steep,
where it was
too.
actually. Anyway,
anyway, folks.
Next time.
We're not going to do that this evening. I think the next step is adjourning. I don't know what else
Sounds
is
like a
going on,
plan.
so.
Go ahead, Ron. take
Ron.
it.
although I hate to do this, I motion we adjourn.
I
all right.
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.